surround your world with people that are smarter than you in totally different arenas and totally different modalities. I watched my father never hire a bookkeeper until the very end, and he didn't hire a lawyer. So what was the first two things I did when I started this business? Bookkeeper and lawyer and accountant. Boom, 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 boom. Because I watched him struggle. It's that equal energy exchange. And you never know. It's like, I don't know why I'm seeing peanut butter and jelly, but if someone has bread and someone has peanut butter and someone has jelly and someone has a knife, I mean, everybody can eat. I mean, it's just crazy, but we can all just come together and be curious and really, really, really be curious. That's so important.
Welcome to Global Socialpreneurs, a one-of-a-kind talk show showcasing expert social entrepreneurs. Learn their stories and their secrets to creating a sustainable impact. Now, here is your host, social entrepreneur Ann Scottlin.
Hi, welcome back to Global Socialpreneurs. We're so happy to have you again with us today. And I have a special guest with us today that I can't wait to introduce to you. And before that, though, as always, this show is a show about social entrepreneurship and helping increase awareness about it, helping people learn how they can pivot their own regular entrepreneurship or even their business into a social entrepreneurship or a social enterprise, and also just creating more awareness of the dramatic difference this can make in the world and what a difference is between a social entrepreneurship and nonprofits, because a lot of people don't know the difference. So we're excited to continue sharing this journey with you today. As always, if this is helpful to you, please forward it to a friend, subscribe on whatever platform you're watching, and email us. You can go to the website, globalsocialpreneurs.com, shoot me an email. Would love to hear from you all. So let's just jump right in. So my guest today is Kelly Wagner, and I'm so excited to have her here. I've been waiting on pins and needles for a while to have her on the show. So Kelly is a social entrepreneur, of course. She's a podcast host, a magazine editor, and a seasoned higher consciousness healing practitioner. So we're going to have some amazing things to talk about today. She serves as a board member at Everyday Women's Network TV, driving positive change through impactful content and sustainable initiatives. Love that. Kelly's dedication lies in combining spirituality and business to create a holistic approach to personal and social transformation, which I cannot wait to hear more about. So please help me welcome Kelly Wagner. Hi, Kelly.
Hello, and thank you so much for having me here today.
I'm so thrilled to have you here. You're a social entrepreneur.
Yeah, I am. Kind of fell into that one.
So let me ask you this. So in your opinion, what is it about social entrepreneurship that makes it unique or a powerful tool for social change?
Well, I truly believe that if you're going to be all in as an entrepreneur, because we all know as entrepreneurs, we live it. I mean, this is not a 9-to-5 job in any way, shape, or form. We're taping right after Christmas, right? And so many people are doing whatever, and we're working. If you're going to do something that you're all in, we might as well do something that we love, that fills us up, but then how can you impact others? I see it like that little pebble in the lake, and it just has that beautiful effect on it. And for me, that's worth it. And because there's a lot of 3:00 in the morning taking notes by your bed and needing to do this and getting funding, and we can only eat what we kill, and there's so much at risk and reward for doing this. And again, to be able to impact others is just like this beautiful added value to it.
I love that.
Thanks.
And I don't know about you. I've spent a lot of time in my life also working with nonprofit endeavors, and so but my question to you is, in your view, what value does social entrepreneurship offer that's unique compared to either traditional entrepreneur business model or nonprofits?
It's that added, it's so hard. This is where I start getting very visual. It's that added value. It's that added honey a light juiciness. It's just that there we go, energy exchange. There's a different energy exchange with it than in other arenas. Let's say I'm a pitcher girl, everybody, so you're going to hear a lot of these kind of things, but it's I just keep seeing that it's that equal energy exchange, because money is a frequency, and it's vitally important. We need it, but there's also a lot of different frequencies and additions and value that people bring that we get to capitalize on in this arena.
Yeah, no, I think it is. And whether it's hand in hand with social entrepreneurship, with nonprofit or not, it can be a win-win either way. But I also love it because it's about leading by example, showing people that they can make money, making a difference, and not feeling like they have to scrape by, but they are allowed to make a living wage and make an impact. It doesn't all have to be for free. It doesn't all have to be voluntary. And really, that is leading by example, because you're helping other people say, oh, wow, I could do that too. I could pivot my business into that. So,
well, and it's a new mindset. I think years ago, it was you had to, I don't know why I keep seeing the word martyr. Like, I just keep seeing that we had to do that to be able to add value, create change. And no, there's a way that you can have a beautiful, comfortable life and other people win as well. And it's all frequency. And I think that's very important.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you this. So you have a fascinating business, and the work you're doing is incredible. So 3-part question, I guess. So let's tell our viewers, what is your social entrepreneurship business? And then what social problem is it helping to solve?
Beautiful. So we have a platform. My husband and I purchased a 30-year-old print magazine, which I'll do a little pretty 3 years ago. And it was a free magazine that was distributed just in the Midwest. And it brought teachers and seekers together in alternative modalities. What we did is, my husband's a graphic designer, web designer, and I've been in sales and marketing for small companies, family run, to PE firms. So I understand being a line item on a spreadsheet. And so we brought that together, and we have the magazine, and we have our platform, which is our interviews and our podcasts. And then we also have experiences, which is from webinars to events and retreats. So we're bringing those 3 pillars together, because people don't want to be sold anymore. They want to be educated. They want to be nourished. They want to understand. I'll give an example. Right beforehand, I have a dog that has this ear infection, and I'm becoming this crazy Sherlock Holmes on ear infections of dogs. And I'm researching from Western medicine to pet communicators, like full spectrum on what could be going on with this dog. And I feel like I'm empowered. I feel like I'm being educated, and then I can also help others with it. So I think that's how people today, they want to be nourished. They want to ask why. They want to be in a safe space that they can ask what others might perceive as a silly question. And we can go, oh, come here. It's all good. You're in a safe space. You just ask whatever you want. People want to be informed. That's what I feel. And the more information is power, no matter where you are in the world. And the more we're informed, if we're informed and we want to look the other way, we have that right, because we're informed. And I just think that's important. So that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I think it is really important. And I love that you brought that up, because marketing is different, especially around services and media, than it has been in the past. People they really know what your competition is. They're aware because they're looking for the same things. They want to see what makes you different. And they also want to feel that warm invitation, like, come on in, let's just talk. Let's make you inclusive and find a way to combat whatever you're dealing with. And I know that primarily the social problem you end up helping solve is challenges with emotional wellness. You're helping people find alternative modalities to feel better, to be happier, if that's the solution that works for them. Just like you're saying, people are looking, like you're looking for your dog, to find the right fit. Isn't that right?
It's so true. And a lot of my private clients that I work with they've done it right. That's probably the best way to describe it. They went to the college that they were supposed to, and they graduated at top honors. They've worked up the ladder in their career, whether it is their company or another person's company. They're successful. They're in a relationship that is successful. They have children or not children because they choose to. They live where they want to. They drive the car they want to. They're like, everything is where it should be, but they're like, something's missing. Something's missing. And that's my sweet spot. That's where I come in and go, okay, let's dig. Let's have fun. And you got to have fun during the whole thing. Like, joy and fun are so important.
Yes. And my book is called Live for Joy, because I can't contain myself half the time. So joy is a huge, important word for me as well. I'm just taking that to the next level. And everyone's in that similar situation. Kind of, this is after the holidays, right? People get kind of in a funk and want to say, how can I make this year different from last year? How can I get from under these uncomfortable emotions that seem to hold me back from making progress or being more successful? And how do I understand myself better? So yeah, when you have all the things, or it seems like you have a lot of the things you're supposed to have, and you're still struggling to find your joy or happiness, then what next? So when we come back, we're going to talk about what you do specifically. And but right now we're going to take a really quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Global Socialpreneurs is brought to you in part by Positive Talk Radio, KKNW 1150 AM in Seattle. Check them out at www.positivetalkradio.net. Welcome back to Global Socialpreneurs. I'm here with Kelly Wagner today, and we are talking about her social entrepreneurship and what she is doing with a multimedia company to create solutions, alternative solutions for people to find greater emotional wellness. So Kelly, let's continue. Tell me a little bit more about what your business model is for social entrepreneurship and what it is exactly that you do.
Perfect. So I'm the publisher of, the company that we own is the Community for Higher Consciousness. And I always forget that because it's such a mouthful, right? I still can't spell it myself. I have to spell check it, but it really starts with higher consciousness. And like what we were saying in segment 1, awareness. Information is power. Whether we want the information or not, information is power. So we have the three pillars of our platform. And the print magazine, it was so crazy when we started this 3 years ago, and so much was going away from print and digital. I just had this voice in my head that said, go to print, go to print, go to print. And it's expensive, by the way. Everybody that gets the Amazon packages, which by the way, I've had 3 dropped off this morning, it makes paper very expensive. So not only was I being drawn to go back to print, but glossy paper, which is just like, you could buy a car for as much as we're spending on these magazines, right? But I just was drawn to it. Mm-hmm. And as people have shared with me that with our magazine, they love the experience. We all have screen fatigue. We're on our computers all the time. So to be able to take a step back, it's like reading a magazine on your Kindle versus a magazine. There's an experience with print.
I totally agree. I'm going to jump in there with about the print, because I totally support that. I totally agree. In fact, my own book, Live for Joy, which is hardcover. Well, that's the preferred one. Glossy, full color illustrations on every page in the entire 280 pages. Like, you sit down, it's square, it's not rectangular. Like, it's just an experience. It's just like, there's something grounding and satisfying. So I'm like looking at your magazine going, and I know you've just sent me one. I can't wait to get my hands on it, because I really am a very tactile person. I'm very physiologically involved in my environment, and it does make a big difference for me. And I'm going to share this because it's just fun. My girlfriend just sent me a message this morning that she went to Barnes & Noble yesterday and could not believe day after Christmas, but that it was packed, and mostly with people in their 20s. and they were looking at books, reading books, sitting on the floor, looking at books, buying books. And she's like, I heard the rumor, but I was afraid it wasn't true. The next generation is liking the tactile. They're coming back to, oh yeah, electronics are great, but then the company quits and you lose all your content, and like people cancel your accounts and things disappear. And what about just like having a book on my shelf? And that made me so happy, because I have like books and magazines like crazy. It's like, as you do, I see your beautiful office there.
I drive my team nuts because I handwrite everything still. And driving everybody nuts because I have all the tools to do everything digitally, but I have smelly markers still. I pick the color. I need it. It's how my brain processes.
Yep.
I don't know what it is. So it's just this experience. And when we bought the magazine, we had people that said to me, they're like, I get my Edge magazine and I get my cup of tea or my coffee and I go find a safe spot and I just experience it. Now, I even had people said they start at the back and go to the front. And I'm like, well, you're just okay. Okay.
That's me.
Okay, there you go. I did not understand that. That's not how my brain works, but people just, and they just drink it in.
Yes.
And I'm like,
I have no idea why. I don't know if it's my dyslexia thing or what it is, but I do that, and people always are teasing me about it. Oh my gosh. But either direction, it's a beautiful experience.
Yeah. And that's what we want. And that's why in our magazine is about connecting teachers and seekers together in a wide range of modalities and to normalize it. So one of the stories that we're writing for the next edition is on sound healing. Okay, who knew? So it's a modality that's been going around for years. I actually was out, my aunt passed away. I was out in Saratoga, Wyoming. There is this beautiful resort called Brush Creek Ranch. Highly recommend it. And they do sound healing. They do goat yoga and they do sound healing. And I was able to go to this little schoolhouse that was built like Laura Ingalls Wilde out in the West in like the 1800s. And I had this sound bath. And I'm dealing with my aunt dying. And I walked in this kind of, I don't want to say funk, but I was in a funk. And I laid down and there's a picture of me that I rolled over afterwards. And I just kind of did the peace sign and I was just so blissful. And I didn't have to take a drug. I didn't drink anything. I just sat and listened to these beautiful gongs and bowls and all of these different beautiful harmonizing symphony of these beautiful, and it was amazing. And this is a mainstream Western beautiful resort and they're embracing it as well. They have forest bathing. I mean, so there's all these modalities that I'm extremely curious about that I'm like, tell me more. Okay.
Which is amazing. And what's also fascinating is that it's coming from all over the world. I think forest bathing is, I forget what it's called in Japanese, but that's a Japanese origin specifically. And sound meditation, which other cultures have done a bit better than us, I would say, to a certain extent, at least around your popular styles of music historically. And also just appealing to the senses differently, because we get so overwhelmed with the same kind of sound, sights, kind of giving your body a break from the everyday is really fantastic. And this is part of what you do in your own work with your clients as well, which is kind of offering them alternative ways of reconnecting and being healthy.
Right? I call it like, I help people unpack their bags oh God, I just sounded really Midwestern saying that. Unpack it in a different way, in a rather than just this standard way of going about it. I look at it like I put on AI goggles. So I put it on and I look around and I'm like, oh, there's a shiny thing over there. Let's go look into it and let's zoom in. Okay, what about this? Right? Yeah, it's a different way of taking things and basically putting it in a blender and then just seeing and then just asking what some people might call extremely crazy questions. And then they're like, oh, well, I did that in college. And then that happened when I was 8. Do you think that could have something impacting me right now? And it was like, it's all tied together.
It is.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, well, let's dive deep. Yeah.
Well, and I think I'll jump in here because I think we got so excited we might have jumped ahead of ourselves, or I did, which was, so our viewers are probably wondering, what exactly do you do? So we know your business structure. We know you have a three-pronged media company that includes a show, a print magazine, and experiences, workshops, retreats, whatever that is as well. But let's just start with the magazine. What is the magazine content about?
So it is called The Edge Magazine, and I'm the publisher. And it is very spiritual, very lot, just introducing a lot of these different modalities, from thought leaders to the community. And then in the middle of it, that we have a directory. So we have this very vibrant directory of all of these different people that are extremely educated, well-versed, and trained in these different modalities that we're bringing together. They're vetted. They're the people that I turn to when I have a question or there's something that I want to look into, and they're trusted sources. So my concern in the mindfulness spirituality community is that the person that has the largest ad budget is going to be where people go. And I'm really finding that it's marketing, where there's my marketing brain, good for them. But I'm looking for people with, and I'm not saying that people don't, but authenticity and integrity, and the people that can go in and really dig deep and create a safe, sacred space for people to be vulnerable and to ask questions and be curious. And that's why the name of our show is the Being Curious Show. I truly believe that if we as a society, I'm going to COVID, I'm just going to do it. If we would have gone into COVID as a society and leaned in curiously, talking with one another rather than just accusing whatever side you were on, whatever you did, and just doing that. If we could have all just been, so tell me more about your thought beliefs, tell me more why you want to do this or not do this, whatever, we would have come out in such a, rather than a polarized opposite, we would have come in going, well, maybe that's not for me, but good for you. And trying to help, it's seeing things differently, whether it's religious, whether it's political, whatever. If we leaned in with each other curiously rather than I'm right, you're wrong, I feel society would be so much wigglier, I guess is what I'm saying, more accepting, like we do this rather than like this. So I think at the core, that is social entrepreneurship on such a level of just having people to be open-minded and curious. But to say, I know enough about that. I don't want to go to a schoolhouse in Wyoming and hear some crystal balls. Not my jam, but hey, I might know my neighbor might be into it. That's cool. And just doing it that way.
I love that approach. No, and I absolutely wholeheartedly agree. And viewers know I talk about this a lot, that finding our similarities is really important, but also being willing to learn about our differences without trying to change people is a really beautiful opportunity. And we know that good communication is the first step into understanding and better peace, right? So learning to understand and learn from others. And like you said, it's like a networking event for those of you in business, right? It's like, you're like, oh, you should meet Sherry over here. She does this. And Bob over here, he does that. You should check them out. It might not be your cup of tea. You might not be building a house right now, but your friend might. So if you know someone who's looking, it's always good to know what's available and what's out there. And I know sometimes I find myself saying, I've done a variety of things in the past, but I want to try a new modality. I want to do something a little different and just see how that helps, which makes a huge impact. So, okay, so I want to come back briefly. You just mentioned it, to the social entrepreneurship aspect and the fact that you have a three-part business. What is important to you about having a multifaceted approach to creating income, or how would you talk about that to other social entrepreneurs? Why have the three sources
of the revenue streams? That's when I studied under a brilliant lady by the name of Ann Pryor about 5 years ago. And she said that you can handle, she did it like a flower, you can handle 5 revenue streams well. And I didn't know if that was the day of the week, like Monday we do this, Tuesday we do this. I don't know, but she has the 5-prong approach. I was raised by an entrepreneur. And so I grew up in a family run business where if the phone rang and you didn't pick it up in 2 rings and properly day or night respond, you were in trouble, right? So I just believe in all the different revenue streams as an entrepreneur. That's important for me. The magazine's very, very expensive, but it's how I can get into people. We're into 30 different states. And we're growing rapidly. We have drop spots in Maui all the way to New York City and Washington, D.C. So it's beautiful. But it's not just, people digest media in different ways. People want to be informed in different ways. So that's where we have the magazine. And the radio show and the podcast, again, that's where the curiosity comes in. And some people listen to podcasts, some people read. Great. And then the experiences are really for when people want to dive deep. We just did a retreat, 11/11 breakthrough retreat in Sedona, and it was mind-blowing to see what people, we had a person show up who was just served with divorce papers from his wife of 20 years. And he purposely drove, he had keys in hand, I want to say for the first 48 hours, and was ready to leave. And to watch this man, I'm getting shivers telling you this, break things down and feel loved and be in a safe space by men and women. And by the end, he was like, I'm going to gleefully go sign these papers. And I mean, it was this at the beginning, and to just watch him. And it wasn't like we convinced anything we just held sacred space for him. And I don't think anybody had held safe space for him. And he unpacked it in this amazing way with all the different people that were there, attendees and guides. And by the end, I mean, his outcome was his. And I wasn't personally invested in it. I just wanted him to leave and feel comfortable with his decision, whatever it may be. He gleefully was going to go sign those divorce papers. And I was like, good for you, man. Like, it's all good. So we all digest it in different ways. Some people want to read it. Some people want to hear it. And some people want to experience it. Oh my God, I never thought of it that way. Sweet, thanks.
Well, and it's amazing too, because I've always told my clients, and especially entrepreneurs, you don't want to spread yourself too thin. But if you can come up with a business plan, and if you can come up with a business plan that keeps, several pots on the fire, that's really good. Several kettles on the stove, whatever you want to say, right? Because then you have multiple sources of income, or you can use one source of income to offer a service to people who are in need or people who can't afford to pay. So, and around emotional wellness, that's a huge thing. Often many people who need it the most don't have the resources. So when you have the resources, when you're making profit from your clients, then you have the opportunity to create opportunities where they can receive as well, and still be part of that family, which is really, really beautiful. Well, I want to hear more about Kelly Wagner herself, and we're going to do that as soon as we come back from a break. So everyone stick around. We're going to hear more about Kelly's story. We'll be back in just a minute.
Hi, I'm Ann Scottlin. Are you one of those people who always wants to aim higher? Would you like to increase your profits and your personal fulfillment at the same time? And wouldn't you love to make a greater impact in your business and your life? If your answer is yes to any of those, find out more and send me a message at annscotland.com/special. I would love to work with you.
Welcome back to Global Socialpreneurs. I'm here with Kelly Wagner, where we're talking about social entrepreneurship, about her multimedia company that she has that is for-profit business, helping to bring more emotional wellness to the people around her through alternative therapies and approaches. But I just wanted to jump in here and say, so tell me, what's the Kelly Wagner story? Like, what happened to bring you to where you are today, where you're a social entrepreneur?
So I worked for Best Buy when I was out of school, and I sold, get this, newspaper advertising. I graduated from college around the time of Melrose Place, and I really wanted to be an account exec. Like, woo, that was like so cool. And there was no money in it, and I was going to have to go work downtown, and I realized I was going to be working till Wednesday just to be able to afford my parking and my lunches and my wardrobe and all that. So I took a job selling advertising, which is coming back to help me now. I then worked for Best Buy in promotions and events, and that was amazing to be able to do that. I am married. I've been married for, oh gosh, I was married in 99. So somebody do the math. And with my beautiful, my beautiful husband, 2 children. And then I worked for my dad for 17 years in healthcare. So we were the design shop for the Mayo Foundation. My dad had 69 products designed for Mayo. So it was basically like DME equipment, all the equipment that you didn't think about in a hospital, but you need, like hampers and IV poles and all that stuff. And that was the company that was going to be mine. And we could do a show just on family entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
And that's a fun one. And I realized at 17 years that after we brought in coaches, after we brought in consultants, my dad truly loved the business more than he loved himself. And that's a lot of entrepreneurs do it. We actually went to University of St. Thomas, has a family business center, and they were talking about G1 to G2 to G3 to G4. And most businesses, I think like 3% get to G4. I watched this unfold and I went, you know what? I started to question myself. My father and I are very similar. And he's the type of person that would go into one meeting and make a decision and sign on documents and then go into another meeting and undo it without telling anybody. And that was the authenticity and the integrity that I've discussed. That's why they're so strong for me, is because I watched that and I said, this is not right. But that's his thing. So instead of trying to change it, I extracted myself from it. And leaving the family run business that was going to be mine was probably one of the hardest decisions of my life. It took me a year to do it. And I did it with integrity. And I would take days off to go interview. I did everything at night. I kept things extremely clean. Then I worked for a PE firm in industrial bagging equipment. And I actually have some clients to this day that I worked with there that utilize my services for business consulting and marketing. And then I went into the dairy industry, and I'm not into dairy. I'm not a farmer. And the first time I was on a farmer looked at me, and I was marketing. And the farmer was just like, she's not from a farm. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not. I'm very much a city girl, and this is amazing. So my hat's off to our farmers of the world, because that is a talk about like living your life and everything. And then the edge came up for sale, and I was in the dairy industry. I had the big girl job, and I had the big girl title in the office, and I was not finding the words. And I'm a girl that I am never short of words. I was struggling marketing it because I didn't get it. I didn't resonate with it. It wasn't my frequency. But I was always the girl in every business that had the office that had the essential oils and the nice lighting and like maybe a crystal here and there. And everybody wanted to come tell me their life story. I have people cross the street that will start, I should carry Kleenex with me, that will just tell me their life story. So I knew I was onto something. And then my mentor said, this Edge magazine is up for sale. You should buy it. And I was like, what? She's like, you should buy it. I'm the breadwinner. I had the insurance. So any of the entrepreneurs out there that know this, like I was keeping the boat floating.
Yep.
And right. And we jumped, like, talk about just trusting and surrendering and jumping off a cliff. And my husband's our webmaster and beautiful artist. And he wears many hats and I wear many hats, and we're starting to get a VA team as we're building. And it's just like, oh my gosh. Also, I play in these modalities. These modalities are what I use with a lot of my family history and what's happened to me. I found myself working for my father. I was prescribed antidepressant medicine, and I'm saying that, not saying that it's bad or good, and I believe that it totally helps many, many people. And I filled the prescription and I looked at the pills in my hand and I just said, this is not for me. This is not what I need to do. This is not my trip to wellness for me personally. And I just started to explore other different modalities. And then that got me curious and sharpened my knives and my gifts and abilities. And so I'm living the edge. I'm living the Being Curious show. This is my heart, being very vulnerable out in the world.
I love that. And that's what it takes, right? It takes a mixture of what makes you excited about life, what makes it excited to share. You have to be passionate about your product or service to really sustain social entrepreneurship. And that's a lot of what carries you. And, maybe you're taking an income cut sometimes, but you're still making income and you still have an opportunity to make such a difference in the world, which is incredible. And you get to join an amazing family of other social entrepreneurs, people I get to work with every day. They're just incredible human beings and people who really believe in making the world a better place and seeing it actually happen before their eyes. It's one thing to talk about it. It's another thing to see smiles on people's faces, better food, water, cleaner environment, all the way around from people who are working in a for-profit impact business, which is really amazing. So lastly, just want to ask you real quick. So in your opinion, what advice would you have to offer social entrepreneurs who are either already established or thinking about possibly becoming a social entrepreneur? What's some advice you have for social entrepreneurs?
Trust your gut, because I think I'll just leave it at that. Trust your gut. Try to keep it as simple as possible, right? I mean, gosh, that sounds just horrible, but not. Surround your world with people that are smarter than you in totally different arenas and totally different modalities. I watched my father never hire a bookkeeper until the very end, and he didn't hire a lawyer. So what was the first two things I did when I started this business? Bookkeeper and lawyer and accountant. Boom, 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 boom. Because I watched him struggle. So, and I know when my accountant's talking to me and she's talking numbers and I'm just like, and then she tells me about her friends at the IRS. I'm like, yes, I'm in good hands. And she wants to keep things clean. And I just I do what she tells me to do. Be curious. Love what you do. Ask questions. Don't feel silly about asking questions. Take advantage, ask for help. I'll end it with that is be okay asking for help. I've watched way too many people in my world just, I'm going to do it alone and I'm going to do this and that. There's so many people that if you are putting out goodness in the world, that if you're willing to give, it goes back to the beginning. It's that equal energy exchange. And you never know. It's like, I don't know why I'm seeing peanut butter and jelly, but if someone has bread and someone has peanut butter and someone has jelly and someone has a knife, I mean, everybody can eat. I mean, it's just crazy, but we can all just come together and be curious and really, really, really be curious. That's so important.
I love that. And that curiosity and the ability to seek out others. So we're not reinventing the wheel, doing it all alone. One of our very recent episodes where we talked about mentorship and teamwork and building your team, which was just what you said now, which is, don't expect to do everything on your own. Find people, friends, volunteers, find good people who have, even if it's just as a consultant or advice, can give you information. Maybe someone can't hire an accountant yet, but you can get information from, advice from someone who is, or recommendations. So yeah, creating a team, even if you are a 1 or 2 entrepreneurship impact program, which really makes a huge difference. And all of that advice is so good.
Something that just popped in is utilize our wise people that have gone in front of us. There are organizations like SCORE and mentorship programs that are local and national, where they are either entrepreneurs or people that have retired that were industry leaders, and they don't just want to go do puzzles. They want to, and they don't just want to travel and go to Palm Springs. Like, they want to give back and tap into those resources, because I've had such great experiences with people, and they just want to give, and they know people too that they're like, oh, well, you should call this person or this person and tell them I sent you. And I've had a couple of those opportunities, and doors just fly wide open when you have those networking opportunities.
Wow, that is a great idea for a whole nother episode. Actually, you got my juices flowing on that one. So amazing. Well, we're already out of time. It went so fast. It's been so much fun. Thank you, Kelly, so much for being here. We appreciate you. So excited for the work you're doing, and check out Kelly's information below, her magazine, her events, and her individual work. And for all of you out there, please continue to like and subscribe. Please send us your questions, your emails. If you'd like to help support this show, let us know. And if you know someone who is a social entrepreneur who would be amazing on this show, like Kelly, let us know, because we're always looking for amazing guests. So thank you all. We'll see you next time, streaming Wednesdays. That's at 9 a.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Well, it went straight to GMT, and 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. My brain is going around the world. Be well, as always. Be kind to others today, and be kind to yourself. We'll see you next time. Bye.